to welcome everybody into the FoFeet book signing event. Yeah, this is the book, Uplifted from the Fifth. We're here at Legacy 5249 Delmar, and we wish you would come on out. We're only here till 2 o'clock, and that'll be it. But you can always hit me up if you really want a book. Or you can go to Amazon or FoFeet.net, FoFeet.net, if you want to order a book from Amazon. So it's always available on any platform here in the United States or around the world. That's right, we're around the world. Now, I am Deborah FoFeet Ushairi El-Kibulon, and I want to thank you for joining us today. And I want to thank all the people out here in our audience. Yay! Woo! You know, it's always going to be good when you see another person. But when you see 2 or 3, that's a group. Remember I said one finger don't make a dent, but a fist, you can do some damage. All right? And I'm going to get to my honored guest. This is the panelist. This is our panelist. Say hello. Yeah. We have Ona Danae Yeshatella. We have Michaela Baraka. And we have Niana Tupe. Yeah. Now this is just their names, but there is a whole encyclopedia about each one of these ladies because they have their own empire of their own making. Okay? And what I've asked them to do is to go through the book, FoFeet, Uplifted, all of it's the same. And to pick a poem. And what we're going to do is to demonstrate how the book can be used as a teaching tool, as a group tool for conversation, as a more than just a book of poetry. I wanted something more than a book of poetry. Each poem has a fable. And the fable is to describe the poem because when you write personal poetry for people, that poem is for them. But if somebody else try to read it, they may not know what it's about. That's why this lady told me, she said, Miss FoFeet, I love poetry, but I don't always understand it. So I was guided to make a personal poem, one that everybody can enjoy and make sense of with the fable, using Aesop fable as just a explanation of how other people can look at that poem. And in that process, everybody has an opinion, right? Everybody has an opinion, but sometimes nobody wants to hear it. So with that being said, behind each poem is 3 pages for a person to write their opinions. So this gives the reader, the owner of the book, license to be do their own opinion. Okay? You can take these poems and put them in a group and have a discussion. You can, a church group, a women's group, a book club. You can take any poem in here and find the humanity in it because I bet you there is somebody in this book that I know that person. Not really knowing the person, but you know the personality. You know the experience. You know some of the thoughts that they had or some of the explanations of who they are. So with that being said, I'm going to, who wants to go first? Okay, all right. I've asked my panelists to pick a poem, read the fable, and give their opinion. And after that, the other 2 panelists will also give their interpretation of that poem. Okay? Ready? Yeah. Let's get started. Welcome. Mayor Teller, who is, she's got a whole lot on her shoulders. And I'm pleased that she took the time to come and do this. This lady is busy. If that was 25 hours in a day, she would only get 30 minutes rest. Okay? So, with that being said, Anna, would you introduce yourself if you want to do more introductions? You good?
Well, I just want to really appreciate you inviting me to be on this esteemed panel for these fabulous African women. And I just want to say I am not a poet. I'm not a spoken word person, but I'm here to support my comrade who is now an author in her own right. So I met FoFeet during the time of Mike Brown's murder in Ferguson. So, and I was sent here by our organization to find a community center. So I didn't have a place to stay, and FoFeet opened up our home for me to stay there. I was supposed to be there 1 week, and I ended up being there 3 months. So this comrade really just welcomed me into her home. She gave me her bedroom and her bed, which, anybody that knows FoFeet, she's just that generous. And when I finally found a home for me and my husband to go to, she said, "You ain't going nowhere. You ain't going on Redbud." She said, "You can't go on Redbud by yourself." But I just really want to appreciate her and, just everything that she brings to everybody. For everybody experience her differently, but everybody experience her with love because that's what she gives to everybody of herself. So I just really want to salute you and say thank you for inviting me to read. So I'm going to read Mind Me Carla, and that's on, I don't know if everybody have a book or not, but that's on page 66. And I'm struggling with these lights, so bear with me. So, Mind Me Carla. It said, "Excuse me for saying, I see you now. I remember when you were younger and I cared for you and your needs. I held your hand when it was small, guided your direction when life issues called. You have grown into a wonderful person. Life has placed me in your spirit, seeing and being your parent. Just don't mind me for saying, you're still my baby boy. Excuse me for saying, don't forget. Yeah, you never do. I still like to see you smile, reminding me of your wonderful wit. Laughing at your jokes makes me choke. All grown up and taller than I am, you're still the little guy I put on the first grade bus, ready now to walk in cap and gown down the aisle. Just don't mind me for saying, you're still my baby boy. Speaking as your mom, I've always been there addressing you in spirit. I'll never leave. When you don't see me, when you think you don't need me, I'll be there anyway, day in and day out. Just don't mind me for saying, you're still my baby boy." So is that me?
Yeah.
Okay. So it says, as parents growing with our children, feeling their pains, wishes, dreams, and accomplishments takes us outside of ourselves to look at them and know they are the little piece of love growing in front of our eyes. Then they grow up and you wonder, what happened to my baby? Well, some mothers think that I cannot speak for the fathers because I am not one and I have not done a pouring for them yet. Having to say it is the time to move on is not easy for a mom to do so when her sons are daughters. We wish to see them released with success in the world, yet we do not want to actually let them go. Knowing we must, we do, kicking and screaming all the way. And yet there comes a time when each parent and each child must cut the strings and let go. Change the perimeter of our relationship and learn to fill the moments with new and expression of growing up items. Okay, you cannot comb her hair for school in the morning or stop him from wearing the socks with the holes in the toes. But you can guide her through baking her first turkey dinner, and you can remind him to separate and use bleach on the whites, colors on them. It is not easy, but it can be done. This letting go and moving on. We parents must allow our babies to grow and face life and the world as we taught them. Know that they are not ours to keep, but are gifts from God to raise, love, and to teach, to be good people, to help and serve the world in which we live. Remember, God takes them further than we can. He brought them to us. Letting go and letting God is the secret that is no secret. So, this particular poem really resonated with me because I have one son, and on August 27th of 2021, I lost my son. So the whole question of, baby boy, let him go is like, I can't. It's like, he's still my baby boy, even though he's not with me right now in present, but he's with me in spirit. So I just like, when I read this, I was like, actually in tears because, I'm in St. Louis, he's actually buried in Florida. So every time I go to Florida, I go to his gravesite. As soon as I get off the plane, I head to the gravesite before I do anything else, and I just spend some time with him. Just talking to him and, telling him how much I miss him and, all the different things that I'm doing in my life and his kids are doing as well. So this poem was very, very moving to me, and I just really, really appreciate you writing this because it really touched, the things that I'm feeling now. And to say that a year on August 18th of 2022 would have been a year that he was, would have been almost a year that he had passed away, but I lost my grandson, his son, to gun violence. He was murdered in the streets of Virginia on August 18th, like 5 days before his father's first anniversary. So it all came, full circle again, and it's like it never ends. Every day I think about him, even though he's not with me, I think about all the things that I missed that I didn't do with him that I should have did. And just, just wanting to make sure that I'm able to move forward in the way that he saw me, because he saw me as a really powerful woman, which I don't see that in myself, but he saw that me as a mother. And being a single mother, growing up with a child, everybody, just who experienced that is very difficult. So I just, really appreciate this particular poem and just say that I resonated with this because my baby boy is not gone. He's still with me.
Thank you. Would any of you other ladies like to comment on that poem?
Yes, I would. First of all, I want to give, because I know it's something. Because it's something to hear a mother come to terms with, the passing of their child. So, it's something for me as a mother because I automatically put myself into that place. So, I just really honor that journey of you. I'm sorry.
Because no child is safe, no parent is safe to lose their child.
No.
No parent. You
No.
always say that you're gonna go first. So
Yeah.
when it happens, you still don't believe it.
So, right. It's something really to come to terms with. And like I said, just as another parent, as particularly a mother, to me it's, as a mother, because you that vessel that they come through. So it's like, it's hard to see, mothers go through. I don't care what kind, I don't care what race they are, I don't care what it is, to lose a child has to be something. See, but you have to figure out, at the same time, you have to figure out what place they play in your life and what place you play in theirs. And, you know, because I sometimes think about my kids and I go, you know, soul-wise, I wonder who's older. You know what I'm saying? Like, how many times has this spirit in this person that I raised as a child, have they been here before me? You know, have they been around longer than I have? And as a parent, we're taught, you know, that we take this journey, and these are our children, and we're responsible for them, but sometimes they show up in a way that they, you know, they help mature us, they help us to grow. So, you know, again, losing them is one thing. I think about, like, that poem in particular, though, the whole letting go thing, because I'm in this phase now where I really didn't have a hard time letting go of my children. I was ready for them to go. I was, but I had given them, you know, I had given them everything of me while they were with me. There are still things that I, you know, little tweaks here and there, like you said, the things that you wish you had more of a hand in, but they show you, you know, you let go because, okay, I taught you everything that I can teach you. Now you're gonna have to prove that you got it. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't sit up under me and test your wings. You gotta fly and test your wings. So, that being the case, it's like, you know, I think it's something else. I was just telling Tupac that my son is out and he's driving. I was a truck driver myself. So, you know, it was a suggestion. Get out there and figure out what you want to do. You know what I'm saying? You're on the road, you got time to think, you know what I'm saying? This is an experience that you can have. Now I have some reservations because, you know, I know about trucking and I know the dangers, I know the things that are out there. But I can't keep them up under me and teach them that at the same time. There's some good things too. There's some things that will allow him to be himself. So just understanding that this drives home the idea that we really have to figure out how to deal with our, like I think we think about it as in ownership. Our ownership of our kids, like, yeah, they're their own person. It's time for them to, you know, it's time for them to get it for themselves. So, he checks in with me. You know, if you got some questions, life questions, just trucking questions, any kind of, you know, anything. And then I'm, of course, as a mother, I'm gonna definitely have something to say at all times about something, you know. But I remember with both of my kids, my daughter is 30 now. I remember when she first left and went to Chicago, she went to school. My thought was, you know, I'm no longer your mother in the sense that I am here to raise you. At this point, I am here to guide you. Your mistakes, your trials, your everything is going to be your own. I'm just here as a guide. And please use your guide as much as you possibly can. But, you know, just understand that I'm not trying to judge you for what you do. I made my mistakes. I had my turn. It was my turn. Now it's your turn. And now that I have grandkids, I can sit back and be, you know, Duma at a distance and let them make all the mistakes they want to make. And, you know, when I catch something, I will, you know, I'll step in. I'll advise as necessary. But, yeah, you have to let them know. That's just it.
Okay.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Unlike Sister Makeda, I can't let mine go. I have not been able, and I don't want to be able to be in that position where my baby boy is on. So I can't even imagine. I don't want to imagine. I have my son, Ishmael, and I still call him Ishiku. And the man said once, he was like, women, leave these boys alone, these young men alone, don't call them cuckoo and all of that. So I was like, I called him, and I said, Ishmael, do you mind me calling you Ishiku? And he said, Mama, you can call me anything you want. Okay. And I still call him Ishiku sometimes now. I might call him Ish. But he's a sweet man. And memories, what Carlos was thinking about, the baby boy, I still call him my baby boy. And his sisters are jealous because he's my baby boy. I was sitting here trying to count, but I think I have 5 grandsons and 4 great-grands, 3 maybe great-grands. And again, I can't imagine him not being here with me. So my heart goes out to those who have lost their sons and daughters. We're talking about sons now. And that poem just brings those memories up about whether they're here with us in the physical or not, that baby boy that I will always love.
Thank you. Now, that is just one example. The book can be used to bring out conversations, to bring out healing, to bring out any ideas in the situation that needs to be expressed. Because I have my baby boy is my only boy. So I have 1 boy and 1 girl. And I have 2 grandsons and 1 granddaughter. And she said, I want to be the only granddaughter because I'm the only granddaughter. She said, any other kids born in the family after her can be boys. She wants to be the only girl. And right now she is the only girl. So I feel for my comrade and for any mother that has had to separate herself from her child physically. But that spiritual thought, that memory, the birth, the first words, the time that he got in your lipstick, thinking it was paint, and put it all over the wall, whatever the memory is, it lives. It lives. And that will take over the harshness of the loss, because the loss is never gone. The child is still with his mom. Thank you, Vivian.
I just want to say that, like, I feel like I'm bonded with FoFeet because my son's birthday is January 23rd. And FoFeet's mother's birthday is January 23rd. My birthday is October 9th, and her granddaughter is October 9th as well. So it's like, we just bonded over, his birthdays, knowing, that we share those things in common. So.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yes, cousin. All right.
Sure.
All right.
I have another call. Yeah, I have another call. And just want to say that I met FoFeet, I don't know how long ago, FoFeet. I don't know if I met you through Melanie and David.
We were doing a book club.
Oh, okay. We were doing a book club, and we ended up doing a radio show together. I heard the radio. And then Makeda and I and we were together in our Black struggle. Owners is on over here in the Black struggle. So we all, together, whether in physical and in spirit. And so this particular poem reminded me of a few things. It's called Paula's Memories. When I was a bird, I flew through time. I would visit my grandparents, to drop toys from the second floor and play in the falling rain. Covered with yellow sun, I would sail to see Aunt Lou, who would save wild animals, serve old-time Pepsi and homemade brownies. I drank the Pepsi fast and giggled with the bubble head. I wished to care for all animals like she did. To make them well, I read books of simple joy, timeless loves and struggles. But I'm not a bird until I'm alone on the beach, listening to the waves crash and roll into the shore, taking me back in memories of the family tree when I was a bird that flew through time. And the fable of Carla's memories. Can you picture Carla as a timeless bird, making brief, joyful visits to see her family and relive the cherished moments of her youth? We all need to learn how to unlock those magical memories from our past, moments of joy that sustain us through stressful times. Carla is quiet, somewhat shy woman whose happiness revolves around spending time with her son and creating sweet memories for him to hold on to. She understands the power of keepsake memories from her parents and relatives. She inherited the value of family, teaching her son to stay grounded in the present while honoring the treasures of the past. She shows him that every moment holds possibilities if only we grasp and cherish them. Like many of us, Carla works hard and loves deeply. She finds joy in simple pleasures and strives to keep life as gentle and kind as possible. Knowing how confusing the world can be, the challenges of life's choices can only be met with simple truth, one revealed through daily growth, experience, and sharing of abundant love. The truths of love and God are what remain real. As we live, we learn, we love. Sometimes to navigate life's journey, we must grow wings and fly through time. This poem reminded me of a few things. One, when I was young, the love of watches. I just realized the other day why I like watches. My grandmother bought me a watch, and I think I was about 8 or so. And it was so pretty. I can't remember the color of it or anything, but I know I was excited. And I went in my room, and they had bunk beds. And I swang around the bunk bed, pose, and I wore my watch on the inside, and it cracked. That just hurt my heart. I mean, I was upset. So the second time, my stepfather bought me a watch. I was probably about 10 or 11 for having a good report card. It was beautiful. I know exactly how it looked. Matter of fact, I wore the one down. I got 2 watches on for this reason. The one he bought me was just like this one. It collapsed. I got this from a Goodwill not long ago. And I saw it and I said, ooh, this is just like it. But this one here I saw in the store, and it was exactly like it, except it didn't collapse. But this one did. Well, I had that watch, and we were moving, and I put the watch in my drawer. And when we got our home, the watch wasn't there. So it just, But that was a memory. When I saw these watches, it brought back that memory, because the first thing I said was, that's my watch. And I was so happy, it just brought happiness. Another thing, the bird. Well, let me go with my grandparents. It didn't dawn on me that when I was young, I sat with my grandparents and we would pick greens. Anybody ever pick greens a long time ago? It took hours. Hours. And when I got older and I realized it doesn't take that long to pick the greens. But do you know what it was? It was community.
Yeah.
It was togetherness. It was spending time amongst the elders, because that's what it was. It was elders picking greens or either snapping peas, or either separating beans, right? Those were memories that I now share with my grandchildren. I sit them down and we snap the greens, just so that I can have time with them, because I realize that. And thirdly, the bird. This summer, there was a bird that built a nest about 3 feet from where I was sitting, under my patio umbrella. And the birds, it was a mother and a father, they built the nest right there, you know where the umbrella goes up, right in there. I sat there as they brought the sticks, and so I did some research and I realized that she must be pregnant. It said that in about 10 to 13 days she would have the babies, or lay the eggs, and it happened just like that. And for those days I sat there and I watched. And I watched her sit on those eggs until they hatched. And the father bird, he would come and he would sit with her for a minute. Now, she would leave, well, once the birds hatch, and I'm going somewhere with this, once the birds hatch, she was like, I'm sitting up there having a conversation like, this is what she was saying. Okay, you sit there and you wait till I come back, I'll be back. And she goes off and he sits there for about 2 minutes, and then he flies off. And I said, oh, I am telling on you. You wait till she leaves, you didn't want to be there. And then she comes back, and he comes back, and then she comes back. My point is, these birds, they were on a journey. They did what they needed to do. And I imagine myself being a bird, flying through the skies, flying through memories of me being a child, me being a teenager, me being an adult. That's what this poem brought to me. A lot of memories, a lot of childhood memories, a lot of good memories, and even those that I think devastated me, a cracked watch or a broken watch. To some people, that don't mean anything, and I understand that, because some people have had more devastating things happen to them other than watches. And I understand that, but my devastation, you need to understand that my devastation is just as bad as another person's devastation. It doesn't have to be as what we call worse, but it is a memory that sits in our mind that if we think about it, we can make amends to it. Like my watches have made amends to the devastation of the watches I had as a child.
Oh, thank you. Would you other ladies like to comment on Carla's memory?
Yeah, I'll go. That poem resonated with me in particular because, I have loads of memory from an age where, a lot of people can't remember being 2. I do. And my grandfather, who taught me how to whistle, died when I was 3. So, and it's something that I carry with me and I think about often. I tell people that, when they catch me whistling and they be like, why? Because my granddaddy taught me. And because I'm going to always do it till I can't pucker no more. And, and I can't use this because I carry him with me through that. And I think that's the thing, you carry the people with you. And the instances that happen through your memories, you still hold on to them through those things. And I thought about also, there was a movie that Shirley Temple was in some years ago called The Blue Bird. And it was one of my favorite movies as a child, but she visited her grandparents. They had long passed, but she visited her grandparents through like a dream. And this bluebird was kind of the guide in that dream. But it reminded me of that. It reminded me of that, me having that memory and associating my grandparents with that as well. I remember my grandmother getting upset about me. I used to not wear shoes. When I was a kid, wouldn't wear shoes. Now you can't get me to not wear shoes. My feet don't touch the floor. It finally stuck it. Now that I realize that my feet really shouldn't touch the ground. But I remember how my grandfather always came to my, my defense. And I remember one time in particular, he said, "Go get my shoes, baby." And so I was clogging around, and there's a picture somewhere of me in my grandfather's shoes, where I was like two years old, just clogging around in his shoes. But again, these are things that you remember, whether happy or sad. I have negative memories, but they really don't outweigh those that I had that were positive as a child. Like I really had a good life, and as long as I can remember that, as long as I can carry that, it helps adjust my attitude for right now in today. I have nothing but gratitude for my existence because I have come through a lot. But what I remember and what I take with me, what I really carry is that I'm all right. At the end of all of it, I don't care what has happened, I'm okay. And, and moving forward, I intend to keep myself as okay as I can keep myself, But yeah, having those memories helps root you and give you a sense of self, and give you a sense of being, not living in the past, actually living in your present and being grateful for the things that have happened in your past that have contributed to who you are today. That's it.
I was gonna say, I can't remember anything when I was a kid, like 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I can't remember any of that because I had a really bad childhood. So, and I think that set me up to be like in these, as Paula was saying, the memories of me being really quiet and shy, really, left that trail up until, I was a teenager. So I just think that I remember going to college and we had to stand up and give a speech. I quit that day because I was so scared. They said giving a speech is the number one thing, people fear. And I remember quitting school that day and never went back until I was 50 years old. I went back to school in St. Petersburg and graduated. But that fear of, speaking in public is still something that I deal with, but I've gotten, over that a little bit. But, as far as the time is concerned, to me, just coming to St. Louis is, I never thought I would be in St. Louis. Actually, I thought we were gonna be landing in the Northwest. We're either in New York or Philadelphia, but coming to St. Louis and, seeing, our people, and you see that, things are happening faster than they used to happen. What used to take 5 years to happen is happening in a year. So it's scary because time is not waiting on anybody. It just keeps moving and moving. And I feel like I'm running out of time to do everything that I'm supposed to do in this world, leave a legacy that will carry on for, African people to be free, So this question of time is like, I'm trying to really deal with that because I never thought I'd be 65. You know what I mean? I don't feel 65. I don't, anything like that. I just, it's very weird, and, time is not waiting. So if there's things that you want to do, things that you want to be, I say do them now. Don't wait till I'm going to wait till I'm 30. I'm going to wait till I'm 35 because those years go by so fast, especially when you have kids too. I mean, you see them 10 and next thing you know, they're 25.
Yeah.
So time is not waiting on anybody, and I really, really encourage everybody to really, follow your dreams and make them happen as quickly as possible, because you never know when it's gonna be your day, and you're gonna run out of time, so, yeah.
That one poem about Carla being a bird can transcend to anybody's history, their memories, their likes, their dislikes, their feelings of love and disappointment, just to bring you back to where you are today. So now it's time for Miss Makeda. What poem are you doing?
Well, before I get to the poem, I want to take a moment to just, acknowledge FoFeet. Thank you for inviting me to be on the panel. I met FoFeet. You know what? Let me be real. I don't even remember when I met you. For real, for real. I don't remember when I met you. I
I can
do.
remind you. Oh, your legacy. Chairman's very first event. That was when I first met you.
Because we did, remember, we did some stuff with Denise them. And it was something with the church, it was something with the FIT. It was something with the FIT because I went there as a therapist. I was there as a massage therapist.
Yes.
Right, so that was before, that was prior. And that's why I'm like, I don't even remember, but I remember that, I was brought into the fold and understood who you were. I had always heard of you because we were both poets. I had always heard of you. I had just never met you as a poet. So it was a blessing to me to, have finally gotten a chance to work with you. And being brought into this space, inside of the Ahuru movement, where we had to work together, and we got a chance to work. I don't want to say it like it was a chore. Like, we had the opportunity to work together and really be, really come to a political understanding at the same time as we were pursuing still certain things. I actually left the poetry scene because I did not understand my place in constantly, like appearing on stage, but not really having anything solid. That's how I felt. I didn't have anything solid, and I felt like we were just talking. We were just, everybody just talking, but ain't nobody solving no problems, and that was an issue for me. So when we came into that space, and then on top of it, it was like you were a mentor in what I was already doing, as well as a sister in what we were getting into together. And I really appreciated, I really appreciated that for everybody that I met at that time. And there were, man, a lot of good comrades that I came across, but all of us are here as a result of us coming into like this union together. So again, thank you for allowing me to sit on the panel. And
I will say this.
yes.
When you were there at a festival, a spiritual festival, when I was writing the book, that's how the book came about, doing clairvoyance. And instead of giving people messages, I gave them poems. And the perception of the people in front of me that was listening to me, like Carla, and when I was singing, came about as poetry. Came out as poetry. So that's how, okay, I remember that.
Yeah, right. So the poem that I'm going to recite is actually the one she mentioned when I was speaking. And I chose it because it it really did resonate with me in another kind of way. And I'll just go ahead and read it now. When I was Steve, a bundle of joy, fat-faced and healthy baby boy, the newspaper article said about me, awaiting a loving home, this happy baby. The family I have has taken good care of me. They're proud of the man I've grown to be. A feeling of not looking like the ones I know. Blood ties just didn't seem to show. Now I search for the one who gave me birth, the one who for 9 months loved me first. A hug, a kiss, to see your face, to experience my first mother's embrace, to actually see your smile, open information from my closed file. I need to whisper how much I love you, and by giving me up, you love me too. You love me enough to keep me safe by putting me in a better place. I have 5 siblings older than I. To find them too, I wish to try. Just to know someone other than me, with the same eyes, nose, and lips I can see. I'm not alone in this quest. Every adopted child must confess. The desire to know who brought them to earth, to meet the woman who gave them birth. I have no blame and no shame. I do have a new name. I'm Ron Williams. This is true. But Mom, I am looking for you, or anyone who might remember from before. The newspaper article said about me, awaiting a loving home, this happy baby. Fat-faced and healthy baby boy, when I was Steve, a bundle of joy. And the fable for when I was Steve. To know who is on the other end of the umbilical cord before it is cut is a profound truth. A child is loved even before drawing the first breath. That bond is unbreakable, woven by nature and sustained by spirit. There are many reasons a mother may give up her child. None of them are simple to face, neither for the mother nor for the child. For the child, it becomes a lifetime of wondering, an endless sea of questions with waves that rise and fall, but never entirely fade. When a mother gives away her child, she gives away a part of her own soul. That invisible tether, that chain of spiritual connection remains for life. An African proverb says that the spirit of a child chooses its parent before conception, knowing the qualities it will inherit from them to complete this journey on earth. This choice is not about who raises the child, but about the very fabric of the DNA, the makeup that shapes the path ahead. Ron Williams, an adopted child, once spoke of the lost space many adoptees feel, the quiet ache for connection to their birth family. His longing is not born from a lack of love for his adopted parents. Rather, it is the yearning to know his beginning, to see the faces connected to that first heartbeat and first breath. It is the search for the other end of the cord. Yet God places each of us where we are meant to be, when we are meant to be there. Finding peace in loving oneself is a truth that does not always depend on knowing the roots of our beginning. Sometimes the truest root is found in the mirror. For some, the questions remain unanswered, echoing quietly through life. The search for completion is alive in all of us, sometimes louder, sometimes quiet, but always there. Ultimately, the answers must rest in the heart of the searcher. God has a purpose for each one, and perhaps that purpose itself is the deepest root we must learn to accept. So, and to see who he is and who he's always been in my view. Even before I knew the story, I didn't know, before I read it, I didn't know that that was his story. But to see who he is and who he's become throughout life, despite this supposed disconnection from his roots, has, it really gives some context to how he has overcome, even, despite always looking for self. But it also is a confirmation that, we are always looking for self. I don't care if we have both of our parents, we're still always looking for self. We're still always trying to find our roots. We're trying to find our root, our purpose, we're trying to put context and make sense of our existence at all times. It adds a layer to it, I think, to not have your parents. And I thought it was, I have a background that, is somewhat difficult in some ways. I grew up with a father, my real dad, my biological father, and I always just really felt like he was my mother's boyfriend. He never felt like my father. So, that being said, I've had other connections with other people that were closer than my own dad. It just didn't reflect on who was there to participate, or who was there in that space. I'll put it like that, because participation, not so much, but who was there in occupying that space or that title. And we have to find family where we have to find it. Many of my friends have, taken the place of family. I actually have created family from my circle of friends. And not to say that I don't have family. I have plenty of family. I don't have no beef with them. I love them. I love them like crazy. But you define the importance of the people that are in your circle. You apply whatever you need from that, from those circle of supporters and friends and people that are around you. You apply that, to make sense to your life. So this poem, like I said, was particularly, it was particularly interesting because I've never had this experience, but I also have from the other side, because no matter where I go, it seems that I'm always around children. Children take to me, even when I'm not necessarily, in the mode to, be in the trenches with them. Like, they gonna make me be their auntie, their big sister, their other mother, all of this. And that's been adults too. It's happened with adults as well. So, people will they place you where they see your importance according to how you are impacting their lives. When I used to work at this community center, and all of those kids, I had a niece that went there. All the kids in that center, and they lived in the neighborhood I was in. All the kids in the center called me Auntie Kitty. All of them. Because that's how, that was our relationship. They were running over the staff that was there prior to me, petting her in her head and doing all kinds of stuff. We're gonna, have a certain kind of decorum here. And so, again, I think children apply to you the structure. Like, if they see that you have some kind of structure, they will put you in a place and they will behave accordingly. They will, apply what they want or what they need in their lives to your station and your position in their lives. So, I can imagine being someone's adopted mother. I call myself Duma, and that means second mother. That's to my grandsons. You know, my grandchildren will call me Duma, because I see myself in that way. I'm not their mother, I don't want to be their mother. And the thing is, at the same time, I understand that my role is a certain thing. They obey me. They look to me for certain guidance. They're going to call me faithfully every night, every other night for a story. We're going to do it. So again, it's where the importance is placed in a child's life and how, you know, and how it impacts their life that is going to, you know, really provide the map for how they turn out, what they, you know, how they present in life. And, you know, I'm grateful, again, nothing but gratitude for everything, for every kind of position I've been in, you know, as a child and as a guide. I'm grateful for having had these experiences and being able to see it, you know, from different angles. Thank you.
Yeah. I just think about my son because I was a single mother, and even though he knew I was his mother, he gravitated to everybody. You know, because when you're an only child, you know, you feel alone. He used to always say, give me a brother or sister, give me something, you know. But he always have friends at the house all the time. He would always, if he goes to his father's house, you know, crowds of people are around him. You know, it's what they say, take a village to raise a child. And he was that child that was in that village that everybody raised. Everybody would help raise my son. And I have to say, when he passed away, at his funeral, so many people spoke of, some of them I did not even know. Just people just come out from woodwork just talking about how they love my son, how he was just the world, you know. And I just was like, I was just overwhelmed by just knowing that there is a village out there that will help take care of our children and help them manifest the things that they want to become. And that's what really happened to me. I was just amazed about just how he was able to draw people to him, and he always loved people and always wanted to be around people all the time. He did not want to be alone. And people just loved him. And it's to hear this and just to say, you know, like he said in the book, he went through 9 months of pregnancy with his child, but he didn't just belong to me, he belonged to everybody. So I just really appreciate that. I didn't know the person that you were talking about, but you know, I try to resonate it some kind of way.
You know, part of our purpose here is to make sure that everyone buys the book. That's one part. Another part is to share with you how the book affects us, how the stories in the book can bring memories of past, present, and future. I wasn't an adopted child, but I had a father who was not around. And as a child, I did have this feeling of, one of my favorite books, have you all heard of Are You My Mother? Okay, the little bird again that was looking for his mother, and he would go to the car and say, oh, are you my mother? Yeah, you know, to the donkey or whatever, and would go different places. And so I felt that way as a kid. Not really bad, because again, my experience wasn't bad. I was raised by stepfathers, I was raised by my grandfather, I had uncles in the house. So it wasn't any of that. I was even raised with a father who they said was my father, but I knew something in the spirit that it was not true, okay? And I was raised by his mother, which was my grandmother, who I loved dearly. But I knew something was different. And one day my aunt said to me, she said, "Boy, you look just like your father." And I said, "I don't look like such and such." And she said, "It's because such and such is not your father." And I'm like, "What?" She said, "Because, your name is this nickname after your father." And I think at that time in my life, I was 14, 15, I changed the attitude. I was rebellious at that point. Why? Because I felt like folks had lied to me. I knew something was different. Not that anybody, again, they didn't treat you different, but I knew in the spirit that this was not the sperm that brought me forth. I knew it. Long story short, I did find him years later, but he was deceased. And I felt okay, because I found a cousin who said he always talked about you. He said he had a daughter in St. Louis, and he told me while I was in St. Louis to look for you, but I couldn't find you. I talked to his sister. His sister said, he always said he had a daughter, but we didn't believe him because he has 8 sons. So that helped me. The story, the poem, when it talks about that connection that he was looking for, that connection, that umbilical cord that was, from him to her, I understand. It's a real thing. It is a real thing. And at some point in our lives, even if we don't find that person, know that it is real. I think that's the point, because sometimes we go around thinking that, oh, why am I feeling this way? Why? But I'm just here to say that it is real. And I think that we can come to some sort of understanding and maybe search and find our fathers, or find our mothers, or find our brothers, or find our sisters. And if not, be okay with it, because if not, we will continue for as long as we live on this earth, searching for that umbilical cord.
I am happy to say that Ron found his mother. And recently, they have been communicating. He's found his brothers, his sister from that side of the family, but he also loves and appreciates the family that he was raised with. He is just a big heart, and he appreciates food. His stepfather owned 2 to 3 McDonald's at one point. And now Ron's company is Safe Serve. So that's why I say he appreciates food, because he thinks of health by when you serve people food, you've got to serve it with pride and respect, not only to the food, but to the people you're serving. You don't want to get them sick. So Safe Serve is Stoke Will. Safe Serve. Will Stoke? Yeah. Okay, that's his company, and he found his mom. And he loved his parents that raised him and gave him guidance and education and wisdom and all of the things that parents are supposed to do to their children. But he just had to find that missing piece. And he found it. He found it. So if a child does not find their parent or parents they're looking for, just know that you are who you are, you're where you're supposed to be, and the people that are raising you may not be the one that the seeds to give you life, but they're the seeds to cultivate that life into abundance and get you where you need to be, because children spirits were given a job to do on earth. They have something to accomplish. And to do that, they pick the seeds to pull together and to be the person that they are and become here on earth. So, with that being said, I want to thank each and every one of my prominent, amazing panelists.
And I do want to say something, I forgot to say, I do appreciate you giving me the opportunity to actually do my first audiobook and doing Uplifted. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
She has completed the audiobook, which will be probably online next month. They just completed it, it has to go through processes, and the book will be online. And the reason I am so happy about it is because you don't have to have the book. When you got the audio book, you can pick a poem and you can let people hear it, and you can have a discussion like this. And everybody can say, oh yeah, and this, what you just heard was a discussion of the book. Discussion, it took me so long to write a book of poetry because two reasons. I don't particularly like just books of poetry. I want something that I can take away. So I've got hundreds and hundreds of poetry, because I've been writing since 1970, 1990, 96. And it was just flowing out. And I saw people with books and books and books, but they got their books lined up on the shelf. Let somebody else read them, which is good. But when you read a book, I buy them to support. And there's 2 or 3 poems in there that I really like. But when it comes down to doing anything else with it, it was a good poem. But I wanted this book to be more, with the purpose. I wanted it to be, you got pages in here that you can write and make it yours. Because like I said, everybody has an opinion. Everybody has a thought. And with this book, you can write your opinion in your book. The hardback is $20. The softback is $15. If you go to Amazon, you're gonna pay more. So, and plus, I can't sign it before you get it at Amazon, okay? But if you online would like to get a book, go to FoFeet.net, FoFeet.net, and order your book. And if you see me anywhere around the world, have your book and I'll sign. I promise. I promise. I want to thank everyone again for coming, and I want to thank my guests here.
You can also get it on Kindle.
Yes. And soon as the audio version is ready, you'll be able to get that.
On Audible.
Probably, yeah, on Audible, it'll be on all the platforms. On all of the platforms. I appreciate these ladies. For being a part of this event today and helping me to express what the book is. The book was written when I was a member of the Fifth Spiritualist Church here in South Grand. Since I left, it has changed form several times, but what I got from it, nobody can take from me. And what it did, it equipped me to really do the real work. And to do the real work, I had one of my comrades to write the foreword, which really opens the transition to who I am now. And what you heard from the poem and the work of the book is who I was growing to be who I am. And the reason I didn't do this, I did this book in 2013. I self-published, but it didn't go very far. You know, you self-publish and you sell it to your friends and family and things, and then my mom passed yesterday a year ago. And when January came, the new year, I said, I want to publish a book and be ready to publish many more within the years after. But come June, I hadn't written a book. I had written some, but not to publish. And God said, I gave you a book. So you should do it. And so I had it republished. And since I've had it republished, and I invested in myself and in my belief, because if I can't invest in me, who will?
Right.
It has been going, you see, I have a picture where it was in Times Square, New York, right over the Pele store. It was 15 seconds every hour on the 21st of December. On Broadway. And then it also has the other picture over there has it with the bestseller stamp. It was Amazon bestseller. So, looked like I did something right when I invested in the Uplifted book, because I've got several other books coming out in 26. This was a jumping point. Everybody has to start somewhere. This was a jumping point on moving forward. And in moving forward, I moved from the Fifth Spiritualist Church, surrounding myself as a whole person, but a person that's giving, to where I was most needed. And I'm most needed in my own neighborhoods. I'm most needed behind my own people, and those are people with melanin. And the next set of books coming out, one of the next set, is called Meet Lucy. Who is Lucy? Lucy is all of our ancestors. Lucy was found, her skeletal remains were found in Ethiopia. And they found that Lucy was 15,000 years older than any mammal on two legs walking that they had history of. So she was walking under the African skies on 2 feet when everybody else was on 4. So that's our ancestor. That's our ancestor. So guess what? You're gonna be a Lucy. I asked Rage to read the foreword to this book to give you an idea of who I am and where I'm moving forward. Thank you, Rage.
It was very hard to write this foreword because there's so much that can be said about Deborah FoFeet Warren. FoFeet is a St. Louis landmark. When many people think of St. Louis, they think of the arch, the sports teams, or the museums. St. Louis has been famously described as the gateway to the West, and that is exactly what the arch represents. It embodies the westward progression of American civilization, manifest destiny. Yet that progression did not represent progress for African people, nor for indigenous people. It represented progress at our expense. The success and wealth of St. Louis are built upon the blood, sweat, and tears of African people. It is our labor that has produced this city and the region. For African people, St. Louis stands as a crossroads, a place shaped both by the northern migration from the U.S. South and the westward migration. The cultural impact of St. Louis has been felt throughout the United States and across the world. At the turn of the 20th century, the king of ragtime, Scott Joplin, lived here, as did Madam C.J. Walker. From St. Louis also came W.C. Handy, Tina Turner, Chuck Berry, Donny Hathaway, and even Michael McDonald, as we know where he got his soul from. Miles Davis was from East St. Louis. This city is historic. It is layered. Few places outside the official U.S. South have Black communities as old and deeply rooted as those in St. Louis. I know of no other city outside the South where many African families have lived in one place for well over a century. FoFeet is one of those people. The history of St. Louis is written into its very being. You can see it in the buildings, in the museums, in the schools and colleges. It is in the bricks, the road, and even in the rivers. Formal education has often taught us a dangerous lie, that history is made by great white men at the top. In truth, it is everyday people like FoFeet who make history every day. That is why this book and her future works are so important. They give voice to the people whom colonial histories have intentionally silenced. FoFeet is one of St. Louis' greatest daughters, and what makes her so remarkable is that she has not left. She is here with us, and this book is her gift back to us. FoFeet is a daughter, a mother, a cousin, a radical cultural worker, a healer, and a scholar. She is a community organizer who never places barriers between her forms of labor. Whether she is organizing, mothering, or performing, she melds all aspects of her life's work together and gives it back to the people. FoFeet is truly an African internationalist cultural worker. FoFeet Fables is not simply a collection of abstract poetry. It is work of revolutionary love that arms the people of St. Louis and beyond with the tools to build a better world. In her historic essay, Poetry is Not a Luxury, the late Audre Lorde wrote, "Poetry is not a luxury. It is a vital necessity of our existence. It forms the quality of the light within which we predicate our hopes and dreams towards survival and change. First made into language, then into idea, then into tangible action. Poetry is the way we can help give name to the nameless so it can be thought." Like Lord's vision, FoFeet Fables is both prose and wordplay. It is a call for you, the reader, to put your own ideas and thoughts into action. The impact of this book will be exponential, where it begins a dialogue with thousands who will own a copy and with the countless more who will come in contact with them. It is truly an honor to write this forward. May you take away as much joy from this book as I have in reviewing it, and as much pleasure as I have had in knowing FoFeet. Michael Matamela Odom, Assistant Professor of Black Studies, African Working Class Intellectual.
Thank you. I want to thank Professor Matamela Odom, Michael Matamela Odom, for that forward. And I want to thank each and every one of you for being here, sharing FoFeet, Fables, Uplifted from the Fifth.